My name is Connie, and I'm 31 years old. I'm a logistics manager by profession, which means my entire life revolves around systems, planning, and risk control. I like things orderly, predictable, secure. The condo I bought with my own money was supposed to be my sanctuary. Quiet, clean, mine. For the past year, my boyfriend Max, 32, has been living with me. And when Max moved in, he didn't just bring clothes and toiletries. He brought people, his ride-or-die friends. Becca, 28. Tess, 29. From the beginning, they treated my home like it belonged to them. Not guests, not visitors, occupants. I'd come home from work to find Becca using my $2,000 espresso machine. The one I've explained repeatedly is finicky and delicate. Grounds everywhere. Steam wand crusted, no cleanup. My noise-canceling headphones, the one luxury I allow myself, left sticky with what I prayed was soda. Tess sprawled on my couch watching my Netflix, eating food I bought, laughing loudly while I was on work calls in the next room. Every time I brought it up to Max, it went the same way. Babe, Becca used the espresso machine again. I've told you, it's not just a coffee maker. He'd sigh, that deep, irritated sigh, like I was being unreasonable. Connie, it's just coffee. Don't be so precious about your stuff. They're my friends. They feel comfortable here. That's a good thing. It's not about the coffee, Max. It's about respect. This is my home. And that's when his tone would change. You're being controlling. They're my family. You can't expect me to cut my family out. That argument played on repeat for 12 months. The breaking point came last week. I was in the middle of a brutal deadline, working 14-hour days. I came home on Wednesday night completely exhausted, barely holding it together, just wanting a shower and sleep. I walked into my bedroom, and Becca and Tess were in my walk-in closet. Becca was holding my old university Letterman jacket, the one I never wear but would never give away. Tess was trying on my designer sunglasses, looking at herself in the mirror like she belonged there. "What is going on?" I asked. My voice was flat, dead flat. Max laughed like it was nothing. "Oh, hey, we were just playing. Becca loves that jacket. It's so vintage." "Get out," I said. "What?" Max's smile dropped. "Get out of my closet. Now." Becca rolled her eyes at me. "In my home." "Chill out. We were just looking." "I don't care. Get out." They shuffled past me, annoyed, and Max followed them, slamming the bedroom door behind him. The argument exploded instantly. "You embarrassed me," Max snapped. "They're my friends. What is your damage?" "My damage," I said slowly, "is that my home has turned into a frat house for two people who don't pay rent, don't respect my property, and barge into private spaces." "It's our home," he shot back. "No," I said. "It's my home, and you're making them feel welcome at my expense." "They are welcome." "They are not welcome," I said. "Not when I'm not here, not in my bedroom, not in my closet. This is not complicated." That's when he dropped it, the thing he'd clearly been saving. "This is exactly the problem," he said. "This control, this mistrust. If you really trusted me, if this was really our home, you wouldn't have an issue with this." He took a breath, squared his shoulders like he was making a noble stand. "My friends are my ride or die. They're my family. They get a key to our apartment." I stared at him. A key. He wanted to give Becca and Tess, the two most entitled, disrespectful people I've ever met, unrestricted access to my condo, to my things, to my space. "Absolutely not," I said. "Then we have a problem," he yelled, "because I can't be with someone who doesn't accept my family. Either they're welcome, really welcome, or I'm not." That was the ultimatum. And as I stood there looking at the man demanding I surrender the last shred of peace I had, something inside me went quiet. Not angry, just tired. The love had already been chipped away, espresso grind by espresso grind. My logistics brain kicked in. "Okay," I said. Max blinked. "Okay, what?" "You're right," I said calmly. "It's about trust. If they're your family, they should have access." His face lit up instantly, smug, victorious. "Really? You mean it? Yes, I said. You're right. I've been too precious. Family first. He hugged me, laughing. Oh my God, Connie, thank you. That's all I wanted. I didn't hug him back. Instead, I said, I've got that work trip next week, 3 days. Why don't you, Becca, and Tess have a girls' weekend? Celebrate. His eyes sparkled. No way. Yeah, I said. Go to that spa town you like. I'll get the keys cut while you're gone. We'll give them to Becca and Tess when you get back. This is amazing, he said. You're the best. They were leaving Friday. 3 days. That was my window, and my plan was already in motion. Friday morning came faster than I expected. At 9 a.m., Max was practically vibrating with excitement. Becca and Tess were already downstairs honking like this was some kind of victory lap. Max leaned into my car window, smiling wide. You're really okay with this, right? He asked. I know this was a big step for you. I nodded. Go have fun. You deserve it. And don't worry, I'll handle everything here. He kissed me. It felt strange, distant, like kissing someone I'd already started letting go of. Becca honked again. Let's go, Max. Mimosas aren't going to drink themselves. They drove off, laughing. I waited exactly 5 minutes. Then I got back in my car and drove straight home. At 10 a.m. on the dot, the movers arrived. 2 men, efficient, no questions asked. I paid cash, $450 for 4 hours, and walked them through the condo with the same calm focus I use at work when I'm rerouting a supply chain. Everything that belongs to Max gets packed, I said. Nothing else. They nodded. I didn't rush. I didn't hesitate. I was precise. His clothes came first. Every shirt, jacket, pair of shoes. The drawers he'd taken over without asking. The piles he left on chairs like gravity didn't apply to him. Then the living room. The throw blankets he insisted made the space feel cozier. The decorative pillows Becca picked out. The cheap wall art that never matched anything. The gaming console he swore he barely used. The Bluetooth speaker that somehow always ended up sticky. The bathroom was next, and honestly, it was 90% his. Bottles everywhere, grooming kits, hair products I didn't recognize, half-empty colognes lined up like trophies. I watched the movers load it all without emotion. The kitchen was last. His protein powders, his almond milk, the specialty snacks he said were for his diet, but I ended up throwing out half the time. Even the mugs he brought that said things like, good vibes only, and don't kill my chill. By 2 p.m., my condo looked like it did the day I bought it. Clean lines, open space, quiet. I almost laughed. We followed the moving truck to secure space storage, 15 minutes away. I'd already researched it. Clean, well-lit, security cameras everywhere. Ground floor unit, 10 by 5. Unit 3112. They stacked everything neatly inside. I locked the unit with a brand new heavy-duty padlock and paid for 30 days in advance. $190. I kept both keys in my pocket. At 3:30 p.m., the locksmith arrived back at my condo. Rekey everything, I told him. $220 later, every lock in the condo was changed. No copies, no spares floating around. Just me. Now came the part Max thought he'd want. I took one of the padlock keys and placed it in a small gift box lined with cotton. Pretty, innocent, thoughtful looking. Then I drove to Becca's apartment. They were still loading the car when I pulled up. Becca eyed me immediately, suspicious. Tess giggled like she already knew something good was coming. Max smiled, relaxed, confident. I just wanted to catch you before you left, I said. Max has been so excited about us turning a new page, about me really accepting you guys as family. Becca's posture changed instantly. Pride, victory. I handed her the box. This is for you. Welcome to the family. She opened it. Inside was the key. Her eyes lit up like she'd just won a prize. Finally, she said, smirking. About time. They wanted you to have access, I said calmly. You're his ride or die. Tess whispered something excited under her breath. Max looked pleased, relieved. Have a great trip, I said. Drive safe. They drove off. I went home. I deep cleaned my condo. I ordered pizza. I watched the movie Max always vetoed. I made myself a perfect espresso on my untouched machine. The silence was breathtaking, and I knew this was only the beginning. Sunday night, 8:17 p.m., my phone rang. Max. I watched it vibrate on the counter and let it go to voicemail. A second later, a text popped up. My key doesn't work. Another. Connie, did you change the locks? Then the calls started stacking, one after another, like pressure building behind a dam. I waited until the fourth call before answering. Hey, I said pleasantly, how was the trip? There was a sharp inhale on the other end. What did you do to the locks? Max demanded. We're standing outside. Becca's here. None of the keys work. Oh, I said, like I just remembered. Yeah, I rekeyed everything. Security upgrade. You were supposed to give us keys, not lock us out, he snapped. I can see through the window. My stuff is gone. Connie, where is my stuff? It's safe, I said. I moved it. There was a pause, then his voice dropped. Moved it where? To a secure location, I replied. Do you remember the key I gave Becca on Friday? The one in the little gift box? Silence. Dead air. I could hear someone breathing, not sure who. That key opens unit 3112 at Secure Space Storage, I continued, still calm. I texted Becca the address already. All your belongings are there. Paid for 30 days in advance. You moved my life into a storage unit? Max yelled. Are you insane? I did exactly what you asked, I said. Your ride or dies have full access, just like you wanted. He started talking over me, words tumbling into each other. Becca didn't know where it was. Tess was confused. They didn't have time for this. It was cold. I reminded him the facility closed at 10. You should probably head over, I added. Wouldn't want to miss it. Then I hung up. My phone exploded. Calls, texts, messages from Max, from Becca, from Tess. I ignored all of them. 30 minutes later, a new number came through. Arlene, Max's mother. I answered. Connie, this is Arlene, she said, already shaking. Max is here. He's hysterical. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. There hasn't, I said. Max demanded his friends get keys. I complied. His guest status ended when he prioritized their access over my security. You packed his things like garbage, she accused. You threw him out. His things are safe, I said, and this is my condo. I'm the sole owner. But he has nowhere to go, she cried. Becca and Tess won't answer. They dropped him here and said this was his drama. I almost laughed. Almost. So his ride or dies ditched him? Connie, that sounds like a family problem, I said. Luckily, he's with family now. She called me cruel and cold. I told her I was logical and that Max set the terms. Then I hung up and blocked every number involved. The last text I saw before blocking Max read, You did this on purpose. You knew they wouldn't help me. You set me up. He was right about one thing. I did know. Their loyalty had always been transactional, built on access to my space and my resources. The moment Max became inconvenient, they disappeared. Natural consequences. For 2 weeks, my life was quiet in a way I hadn't felt in a year. The condo was mine again. My espresso machine stayed clean. Work felt lighter. I thought it was over. I was wrong. 3 weeks passed in silence before the universe decided Max deserved one last lesson in consequences. I was reorganizing my pantry on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, enjoying the absurd peace of knowing no one would rearrange my shelves or eat something they didn't buy, when my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. Miss Connie, a man said carefully, this is Chad, the manager at Secure Space Storage. We have a situation. I didn't panic. I asked him to explain. He told me there were 4 people in the office, 1 older woman and 3 younger ones. They were yelling, demanding access to Unit 3112, threatening to call the police, and upsetting other customers. One of them had a key, but since I was the sole lessee, he couldn't let them in without my authorization. I closed my eyes and exhaled. Let me guess, I said. Max, Becca, Tess, and Max's mom, Arlene. Yes, ma'am, Chad said, sounding relieved that I understood immediately. Don't let them in, I told him. I'll be there in 15 minutes. If they call the police, that's fine. When I pulled into the parking lot, it looked like chaos had sprouted legs. Arlene was leaning over the counter, yelling about theft and illegal eviction. Becca was waving the padlock key like a weapon. Tess hovered behind them, pretending she wasn't involved. Max stood off to the side, red-faced and frantic, looking nothing like the confident man who had issued ultimatums in my bedroom. The moment he saw me, he rushed forward. You have to tell him to open the unit, he said. This has gone far enough. I stayed calm. It's been 3 weeks, Max. You were given access. Why haven't you collected your belongings? Becca snapped that the key was useless because there was a gate code I never gave them. I nodded. Correct. It's a secure facility. That's the point. Tess muttered that I did this on purpose. I didn't argue. Arlene stepped forward, finger pointed directly at me. Enough games. We're all here now. Open the unit. Let us get his things. And you're paying for the moving truck. It's the least you can do after humiliating my son. The entitlement was breathtaking. You're right, I said. Let's end this. Max's shoulders relaxed instantly. Relief washed over his face like he'd just won. I turned to Chad. I'm here to terminate my lease and empty the unit today. Chad blinked. Okay. I'll authorize one person, I continued. Max. Everyone else waits outside the gate. Facility rules. Arlene protested. Becca cursed. Tess rolled her eyes. But Max nodded. He didn't have a choice. We walked through the gate together. The others waited on the sidewalk, furious and powerless. I unlocked the heavy padlock and rolled up the metal door. Max's entire life stared back at him in boxes and bins. Clothes, shoes, electronics, his lamp, his bags, everything he'd brought into my home. My mom's car is right outside, he said quickly. We'll start loading. No, I said. He stared at me. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm emptying the unit, I replied. I'm not moving it to your mom's car. I'm moving it right here. I picked up the first box and carried it exactly 20 feet to the yellow line, marking the fire lane just inside the gate. I set it down carefully. This, I said, is as far as I go. His voice cracked. You're making me move everything myself. I'm not making you do anything, I said. Your family is right outside. Becca, Tess, your mom, they look very ready to help. I went back and grabbed another box, then another. Slow, methodical, unemotional. Max unraveled in real time. He dragged boxes toward the gate while Arlene shouted instructions. Becca complained about her car being in a no parking zone. Tess suddenly announced she had an emergency and peeled out of the lot without looking back. Becca followed soon after, declaring she was done with the drama and that Max had gotten himself into this mess. When I placed the final box on the pile, it was massive. Max stood there crying silently. I handed him the padlock and the key. It's a good lock, I said. My gift. I signed the termination paperwork, nodded at Chad, and walked back to my car. As I drove away, I saw Arlene trying to shove the lamp into her back seat, scratching the door panel in the process. It was messy, public, unavoidable. I felt bad for exactly 1 second. Then I remembered Becca in my closet, the ultimatum, the disrespect. Later, I got a bill from the storage facility, $250 for abandoned items they couldn't fit. I paid it without hesitation and mailed the invoice to Arlene with one handwritten line at the bottom. My last contribution to Max's family. My condo is quiet now. Clean. Mine. And for the first time in a year, I don't feel like I'm managing chaos anymore. I finally let it collapse on the people who created it.